بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فإن أحسن الكلام كلام الله وخير الهدى هدى محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وإن شر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. So in the last lesson that we had, we looked at the statement of Imam al-Tahawi rahimahullah regarding belief in the angels which are the scribes. وَنُؤْمِنُ بِالْكِرَامِ الْكَاتِبِينَ فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ قَدْ جَعَلَهُمْ عَلَيْنَا حَافِظِينَ. We believe in those noble angels which write, which are the scribes, for indeed Allah has made them as hafidhin, meaning those who preserve and record that which we do. So we looked at, in the previous lesson, we looked at the commentary of Sheikh Salih al-Fawzan and Sheikh Zayd al-Madkhali. So we're going to complete the discussion today, inshallah ta'ala, from the commentary of Sheikh Salih al-Sheikh. And so he says, we believe, وَنُؤْمِنُ, meaning نُصَدِّقُ وَنَعْتَقِدُ, meaning that we affirm our belief in, and we believe with i'tiqad in the presence of these angels, these noble angels, just like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has informed us about them. And these are angels that Allah has ennobled. He has given them honor and a position, and with different types of takreem, with different types of honoring. They are appointed to stay by the son of Adam, to write his actions, and everything that emanates from him, of speech or action. So these are the angels that are with us. They are called the writing angels, al-kataba, meaning those who write. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has informed us about them, as has the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So we believe in them, we have our faith in them. Now these angels which are mentioned here, this is a branch of the angels in general, because from the pillars of Iman is to believe in the angels. This is a generalized belief. And so these specific angels that At-Tahawi here has mentioned specifically, this is a fara'. It is a branch of the belief in angels in general. It follows on from the pillar of belief in the angels. Now, earlier in these lessons, we explained, in the very early lessons, that when we look at each of the pillars of Iman, belief in Allah, belief in the angels, the books, the messengers, there's a basic element of belief. There's a basic amount of belief which a person must have in order for that belief in that pillar to be valid. Right? There's a basic amount of belief. And there are two levels to it. First of all, a person must have a general belief. This is a general belief. So for example, we believe that the angels exist. There are creatures known as angels, they exist. And that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given them certain tasks and functions, and from them are those that bring revelation. Jibreel alayhi salam, for example. So there's a basic element of belief that a person must have in order for his belief in the angels to be valid. And then after this, a person has what we call an iman which is mutlaq. It's something that's open and unrestricted. So for example, we might not know everything that has come in the sunnah about the angels. There might be many things that we don't know about the angels, but we know that there are details and there's information about them in the sunnah. So what we say is that we believe in everything that we've been informed about, whether we know it or not. But everything that exists in the sunnah, we believe in all of that, even if we don't actually know it at this point in time. So this now encompasses the entire belief in everything to do with the angels, but in a general sense, in a non-specific, in a general sense. And then, so the point being that it's not a condition that a person believe in every single detail to do with the angels for his belief in the angels to be valid. Right? Because some people might not know, they're new to Islam. They might not know, for example, that there are angels which record your deeds. They might not know that. So it's not a condition of their faith that they have to know that there are angels which write the deeds. It's not a condition. Rather, they have to have a generalized belief. But as and when information comes to them, so when they are mentioned, hadith are mentioned to them, verses are mentioned to them, and it comes to them, and in this case, then they must affirm their faith because now specific evidence has come to them. And so this is the belief in the angels, but that amount of belief by which a person's belief in the pillar itself is valid is basically that angels exist, that they worship Allah, that they've been given certain tasks and functions, and that they are not to be worshipped. They are slaves of Allah and they fulfill the commandments of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This basic general amount of belief is something by which a person has achieved the pillar. Now after this is what we call, this is al-iman al-mujmal. Al-iman al-mujmal, the generalized belief. After this is al-iman al-mufassal. Al-iman al-mufassal. Whatever information comes to you in a hadith or an ayah, now it becomes wajib upon you to believe in that specific detail. So then the Shaykh goes on to mention just a point here about how At-Tahawi in his speech, we see that there's no order necessarily. Normally it's customary when people or when the scholars speak about belief that they speak about Allah first, and then they speak about the angels, then the books, then the messengers, then the last day, then Al-Qadr. They have an order, and then whatever else follows on from that. But in some books we see, like we see in the book of At-Tahawi, there isn't necessarily any order, but as the thing comes to their mind, they put it in the book. So there isn't any structure or order to the actual contents. So for that reason we see that the issue of the angels has come, at this stage halfway in the book, and maybe there are things which are scattered around in different places. So this is just a note about the way and the style of writing the book. So now this brings us to the issues. This is just a brief commentary, brief note on the statement of At-Tahawi. Now there are issues. So the first issue is regarding this is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what is the proof for this in the Quran? Because this now is something which is tafsili. It's tafsili. We've gone past the general belief in the angels. We believe in them, they exist. But here, this thing here, it mentions that they are the scribes. They are the scribes. So this now is something additional to the iman, which is mujmal. The proof for this is in Surah Al-Infitar, the 81st surah. وَإِنَّ عَلَيْكُمْ لَحَافِظِينَ كِرَامًا كَاتِبِينَ يَعْلَمُونَ مَا تَفْعَلُونَ. That indeed appointed over you are حافظين, guarders, those that watch. كِرَامًا كَاتِبِينَ, noble scribes. يَعْلَمُونَ مَا تَفْعَلُونَ, they know that which you do. Here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He described them with a number of descriptions, 3 or 4 descriptions. Number 1, that they are حفظة, which means that they are like guardians or watchers over us, in the sense of observing what we do. And then He described them as kiram, that they are noble. And He described them also as kataba, that they write. Not only do they watch and observe, but they also write as well. And He also added that they know that which you do. So here there are a number of different descriptions, 3 or 4 descriptions. They are hafaza, they are kataba, and يَعْلَمُونَ مَا تَفْعَلُونَ, they know that which you do, and they are kiram, they have nobility. So let's look at these descriptions. First of all, that they are hafaza meaning, now there's a difference, because in the Quran, the angels, when Allah mentions them in relation to mankind, here in this ayah He said, وَإِنَّ عَلَيْكُمْ, alaykum, using the preposition ala. Wa inna alaykum hafidhin. The meaning here is that they are watchful over you and they preserve that which you do. And then in another place, or in another sense, the particle, instead of ala, the particle li, with the lam, this can be used. This now means that they actually protect you. They protect you. So these are two different meanings, and obviously there's two different sets of angels that do each function. So here he said, وَإِنَّ عَلَيْكُمْ لَحَافِظِينَ. And so here these are the angels, are the ones who preserve and write and safeguard that which comes from the son of Adam, everything which emanates from him, whatever he does, whatever he says, and so on and so forth. And then the second description is that they write, kiraman katibin. So not only do they observe and be watchful over what the son of Adam does, they are also appointed to write it down. They are appointed to write it down. And this writing is in scrolls that are present with them. And we don't understand these scrolls, but they are true and real. Just like, we can't see the soul. We don't know what the soul is like. We can't see the angels, but they are there. And they write. And they write upon scrolls. We can't see those scrolls. We don't know what they're made of. But they are true and real scrolls. And so they write in these scrolls, they write the good deeds. An angel writes the good deeds, and an angel writes the evil deeds. So therefore the writing is divided into two. There is one scroll which has all of the good deeds, one scroll which has all of the evil deeds. So therefore there are two scrolls. There are two separate scrolls. And then the third description, يَعْلَمُونَ مَا تَفْعَلُونَ, and this is something that we want to elaborate upon in a bit more detail. The third description is that they know that which you do. They know that which everything you do, they know it. The angels know it. Now the question arises, what are the things that the angels know? What are the types of things that the angels know? First of all, what emanates from a man? What are the things that come from a man? Number one, in his heart there are certain actions. So if we look at all the things that come from a man, first of all, there are the actions of the heart. So he has feelings. He has a feeling of love, fear, hope, reliance, dislike, hatred, jealousy, compassion. And all these are all feelings in the heart. No one can see them, but they are feelings in the heart. They are actions. They are the actions of the heart. So this is one thing that emanates from the son of Adam. The second thing is what comes from his tongue, whatever he speaks. And this would include the physical movement of the tongue in actual speech, but also sometimes when a person is thinking about what he is going to speak. Because remember, the tongue makes the speech, the tongue expresses the meanings, that a person wants to express. And sometimes a person might want to say something, but the tongue hasn't moved yet. The tongue hasn't moved yet. So, this includes the tongue when it moves, and likewise that which causes the tongue to move. Right? Because remember, it's not the tongue speaks and expresses the words, but there's something behind the tongue from where the meanings and the words come. Right? So all of that emanates from a person. And then the third thing is whatever he does, obviously, with the limbs, with the hands. So which are the limbs? The limbs are the hands and the feet and the private parts and the tongue. These are the limbs by which a person acts. His hands, and likewise obviously his eyes and his ears and his nose, those things with which he performs actions. All of these are his organs and his limbs, and they act. So all of this is known by the angels. All of this is known by the angels. And the question now is, is all of this written down? Is all of this written down? And that which is apparent from the Quran and from this verse that we looked at in Surah Al-Infitar, that all of this is actually written down. We see in Surah Qaf, the 50th surah, in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, مَا يَلْفِظُ مِنْ قَوْلٍ إِلَّا لَدَيْهِ رَقِيبٌ عَتِيدٌ, that never does he utter a word, a statement, except that by him is a scribe, a watchful scribe, ready to write, poised to write. And so, as soon as he expresses something, the angel will write. Now this verse in Surah Qaf is speaking specifically about speech. This verse is about speech. But the ayah in Surah Al-Infitar is more general. It covers all of the three types of things that we mentioned earlier. The actions of the heart, the statements of the tongue, and the actions of the limbs. It writes all of these things together. And likewise, when we look at the actions of the heart, there are certain actions of the heart which are obligatory. Like for example, there are outward actions which are wajib. The prayer, for example. The zakah, for example. Hajj, for example. So these are obviously things which are written down. But likewise, there are actions of the heart which are also obligatory. To have ikhlas, to be sincere, is something which is wajib. It is something which is wajib. To be pure in one's intention, in the niyyah, is wajib. To have tawakkul upon Allah is wajib. To have hope in Allah is wajib. To fear Allah, to love Allah and His Messenger is wajib. All of these are actions which are wajib. And so obviously if they are wajib and a person is accountable for them, then they have to be recorded. They have to be recorded, and so therefore in fact they are from the greatest of actions, the greatest of the obligatory deeds. So these affairs are written down. Whatever feeling you have, emotion, whatever takes place in the heart, these affairs are written down. So the angels, they write down not only the deeds, not only the actions, they write down the statements, they also write down the actions of the heart. So the reliance you made upon Allah, the love of Allah which is present in your heart, in which moves the fear of Allah, the hope in Allah, and all of the various other actions, the love for the sake of Allah and the hate for the sake of Allah, these are all actions of the heart. The angels write them down. The angels write them down. And not only do they write the good deeds which are from the actions of the heart, they also write the evil deeds which are from the actions of the heart. So what are the evil deeds? For example, or the things which a person, things which pass through his mind. So for example, there are certain steps that come before a person does an evil deed. There are certain steps before a person commits an evil deed. The first thing is what we call ham. Ham in Arabic means when a person starts thinking. There's a process in his mind where he's thinking. It's passing through his mind. Likewise, there is irada. This is now him actually wanting to do something. And then thirdly, there is al-azam. Al-azam is when a person he is firmly determined to do the deed. Al-azam is like a firm resolution. He's going to do the deed. And let's give an example of this. Let's say there is a thief or a person, and in his mind he's thinking, there's something going through his mind, and he's thinking about stealing something. So he's thinking about, for example, the window being open or the door being left open, or he's thinking about, for example, how he's going to break into the car, All of this now is hum. There's something passing through his mind. And then the next level is irada. This is now where it's not just something passing through his mind that he's thinking of, and he's thinking about the different scenarios and possibilities. Now it moves to irada. Now he's decided he's going to do it. He wants to do it. And then after this comes the level of al-azam. Now he is resolute. Now he's on his way. He's left his house. He's going towards the scene of the crime that he's going to commit, to the car, whatever else, and he's actually on his way. This now is azam. He's firmly determined to actually do the deed, and we see all the signs of that determination. So, all of these are actions of the heart. And likewise, there are certain other actions which are prohibited as well. For example, to have su'ul dhan. Su'ul dhan is to have an evil suspicion. To have suspicion about someone, about something else. Su'ul dhan is an action of the heart. Or even to have su'ul dhan with respect to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To think an evil thought. To think an evil thought about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Likewise, other actions like arrogance. To have arrogance, it's an action of the heart. To have pride, it's an action of the heart. All of these things which are taking place in the heart. So, the angels, they know all of this. They have knowledge of all of this. And the question here is that, is this something the angels know themselves? Are the angels to know this by themselves? Or is it because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given those angels the ability to do that, because obviously they have that function? And the answer is the second one. The answer is that Allah has given these specific angels who are responsible for preserving everything a person does and recording everything a person does. They have been given this specific unique ability. Because outside of this, the angels in general, they don't have any special status over the son of Adam, such that the angels can see, what this one's doing and what that one's doing, what this one's feeling, and they don't have this ability. But these specific angels which Allah has appointed, they have been given this ability because of the task that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has entrusted them with. So the heart, just like a person will be held accountable for everything he did and everything he said, and this will be in his scrolls, it will be written in his scrolls, likewise the actions he felt in his heart, all of that will be in the scrolls as well. Why is this? Because a person is going to be held accountable. A person will be held accountable. There will be hisab on Yawm al-Qiyamah. And so when he's presented his scrolls, which were written by the angels, he will be presented by everything that came from him. The actions and the feelings of the heart, the good and the bad. The statements of the tongue, the good and the bad. The actions of the limbs, the good and the bad. All of this will be present, and he will see it in the scrolls. So, the point from all of this then is even the issue of the ham. Now there's a question that rises, we've spoke about the three levels. We spoke about the ham, the thought, the reflection. We spoke about the irada. We spoke about the azam. When is something written down as a deed? When is like when we are speaking about someone thinking about doing something? When is that written down as a deed? Because we know in a hadith in which the Prophet ﷺ, he said, indeed Allah, inna Allah tajawaza li hadhihi al-ummah ma haddathat bihi anfusaha ma lam ta'mal aw tatakallam. Allah has overlooked for this ummah the speech that the soul makes with a person, when the soul speaks, so long as it doesn't act and it does not speak upon what it's thinking. Right? So, now here, what does it mean by حَدَّثَتْ بِهِ أَنفُسُهَا? When the soul speaks to itself. What is it? Is it just the whispering? A person gets a whisper in the mind, do this, do that. Is it like the hum? Is it like when a person starts thinking about it, it occupies his mind and he's now thinking about all of the things? What is it? What counts, or the stage at which it counts, is when it moves to the issue of al-azam. Al-azam and al-irada. Al-azam, al-irada. Meaning that when it turns into a desire to do the deed. And when a person has resolution that he's going to do the deed. As for merely just thinking in the mind, then this is not something that he will be held accountable for because of this specific, because of the hadith, because the evidence indicates that Allah has overlooked for this ummah that whatever thoughts come to their minds, which they do not act upon, and acting upon can mean to have the irada, to have the desire to do so, to do it, and to have the firm determination to do it, or to actually do it outwardly. And so then it becomes something that will be held against him. And let's go back to our example. Let's stick to our example that we gave before. Person who decides that he's going to steal, for example. So the first stage, he's thinking about the theft. He's just thinking about it. At this stage, he's not held accountable. Then he has the irada. He now has the desire to do so. And then he has the determination to do so. He goes out and, for example, he might, have an item that he's going to throw into the car, onto the car window. He might have a ladder that he's going, he's got the ladder in his, in his arms and he's walking towards the place. Now he's firmly determined to do the deed. And it might be the case that he doesn't get to do the deed. Maybe, there's some people present and so therefore he doesn't do it. But he was determined to do the deed. Something stopped him from doing the deed. Never at one stage did he think, I'm going to fear Allah and I'm not going to do the deed. He had azam and determination all the way through, and he was prevented because of qadar Allah. Right? He has earned an evil deed because of that. And that is written down as an evil deed. Unless he stops and says, Astaghfirullah, this is evil, and his heart, now the azam and the irada, now it changes. Here now, this now is something that obviously he's repented and he's turned back from that. So, this is how the scholars explain the issue. And in fact, some of the scholars say as well, that with respect to certain places which have a special status, like for example, Medina, and anyone who even thinks about doing an evil deed, that may be taken against him. Right? Because of the place that a person is in. A person is in the haram. Now, how is he going to be thinking of doing a certain deed? It comes, So even that is something that might be taken against him in the view of some of the scholars. So therefore, from this we conclude that the statement of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, يَعْلَمُونَ مَا تَفْعَلُونَ يَعْلَمُونَ مَا تَفْعَلُونَ, He knows, or they know, that which you do. This is general, and it includes everything which comes from the son of Adam, with one exception, which is in that hadith, that when a person is merely thinking and having with respect to an evil deed. Now, what is the benefit of all of this? Of course, once we know this and once we understand all of this, this makes a person to inherit fear. A person becomes fearful. He's fearful of the movements he makes, what passes through his heart, what comes from his limbs, what is expressed with his tongue. This becomes a great issue to him now. And likewise the issue of istighfar, asking Allah for forgiveness. We see that the Prophet ﷺ he used to sit in a single sitting and seek forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala 100 times. And make tawbah to Allah, istighfar and tawbah 100 times. Why? Because of the greatness of this issue. The greatness of, what the son of Adam, what he does. And the fact that the angels write. And so if this is the case for the Prophet ﷺ, then what about the likes of us? It is even greater and greater and greater, multiple times more. And a person is much more in need of istighfar and tawbah and inabah. All of these things turning to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is the first point. The first issue here is, what do the angels write from the actions of the son of Adam? The second issue is that these angels, we mentioned two things, al-hafadha and al-kataba. Al-hafadha and al-kataba. Al-hafadha and al-kataba. Al-kataba we've discussed, they are the ones that write. But there are also those who are known as al-hafadha. There are two functions. One is writing. One is in the sense of protecting. One is in the sense of protecting. And some of the scholars, they say that there are two which write. They're on the left and on the right. So they write the deeds of the son of Adam. And then there is an angel in the front, an angel behind, and they are the ones that do the protecting. They keep harm away from the son of Adam. So this is what many of the scholars say, and you find this written in many of the explanations. And the Shaykh says that this explanation, that there are 4 angels, 2 that write, 2 that protect, is something that requires evaluation, because there are evidences that indicate otherwise. And so he says that those angels which obviously write and watch and observe what he does, then it's clear that they are 2 in number. We've established that already, and this is clear. But there are other angels which actually protect the son of Adam, and they are mentioned in another verse in the Quran, in Surah Al-Ra'd, Surah 13, verse number 11. In this ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says, لَهُ مُعَقِّبَاتٌ مِّن بَيْنِ يَدَيْهِ وَمِنْ خَلْفِهِ يَحْفَظُونَهُ مِنْ أَمْرِ اللَّهِ. That they have a succession of angels in front of them, or in front of him and behind him. And they protect him by the command of Allah. They protect him by the command of Allah. Now, the explanation of this verse is, first of all, the angels are commanded to protect a servant by the command of Allah. So, in other words, so long as Allah wants a servant to remain alive, those angels will protect that servant from meeting death. Then at the point at which Allah has decreed death upon that individual, obviously the angels now have been not they are not under the command of Allah. That command now has ceased. And so therefore they will step back, and then whatever is decreed for the son of Adam to occur, it will come to him, whatever harm that is. Whether it is death, whichever way that is. But the issue here then is that these angels, they are mentioned in a hadith in which the Prophet ﷺ, he said that these angels, there are groups of angels that take turns in succession. There are 4 during the night, and there are 4 during the day, and they gather together. So they ascend and descend at specific times, at 2 times in the day. So the ones who are present at the day, they ascend back up, and the ones who are, the ones for the night, they come. And so this is the hadith in which the Prophet ﷺ, he said, how did you leave my servants? And obviously Allah knows best how they left the servants. And they say, we came to them and they were praying. So they were praying, Salatul Fajr. And then the other set of angels come. Allah says, how did you leave my servants? And they say, well, we came and we left them whilst they were praying Asr. And so they take successions in turns like this. So this hadith is a proof to show that those angels which come and they protect and whatever, that they actually take turns. There are those for the day and those for the night. And they change at the time of prayer, at the time of Asr, and the time of Dhuhr. And now obviously this hadith cannot be in reference to the angels which actually write the deeds. Why? Because the angels that write the deeds never leave the son of Adam. Whereas these sets of angels, they're going up and then coming down, going up and coming down. So obviously one group of angels is leaving during the night, whilst the set of angels is present. So therefore, these angels cannot be the same ones, included within the same ones, as the ones that write. Which shows that in total, there will be 6 angels for a person. 2 that write good deeds, evil deeds, and 4 that are present with him. So this is the Shaykh saying that this is like another view based upon the evidences, even though many of the scholars, they say that there are 4 angels in total, including the 2 writers and the 2 protectors. So so there are 6 in total. So this is the second issue. The third issue is that the issue that we're discussing here is that the angels write. Our faith, our iman is that they write. This is the foundation of the matter that we're discussing here. That they write the scrolls, and they write the evil deeds, they write the good deeds, and maybe there are some things which are disputed. Maybe there are some things which one angel disputes with the other angel. Is this written as good or bad? And those things are things in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will judge. Allah will judge in those issues, because there are some things which are maybe not clear, not apparent. Now these angels then, the scrolls that they write, these are the same scrolls that will be presented to the servant when he dies, when he enters the grave, will be tied to his neck. Allah says in the Quran, اقرأ كتابك كفى بنفسك اليوم عليك حسيبا. Read your book. Read your book. Sufficient are you yourself to be a reckoner over yourself. You can judge yourself. Here is your scrolls. Here's everything in your scrolls. So therefore, there will be all the things, the actions of the heart, the sins of the heart, the good deeds of the heart, the statements of the tongue, the actions of the limb. Everything's in there, and the servant sees and he knows it's all the truth. He himself is the one who can judge himself. And so these are the same scrolls with which a person will be judged on the day of judgment. They will be brought out, and the servant will be presented with them, and it will be asked, he will be asked, did my angels oppress you in any way? Meaning that did they ascribe to you something that you did not do? Did they ascribe to you an evil deed that you did not do? And did they leave a good deed that you did? Have a look in your scroll. Did my angels, did they wrong you in any way? And obviously the servant is going to say, no. No, O my Lord. And so this issue, when the issue is like this, then obviously there is a consequence of believing, of this belief in the angels which write. When it's in his heart that everything is being written, every motion of his tongue will be written against him or in his favor. Every action of the heart against him or in his favor. So then this will lead this person, it will cause a person to think that he does not want to have anything in his scrolls except that which is goodness. In other words, what is the fruit and the consequence of this belief? It is that he does not, that he works and acts in a way that he wants to ensure that there is nothing in his scrolls. When the scrolls come to him on Yawm al-Qiyamah, there is nothing except goodness. This is the fruit and the consequence of this belief. He does not want anything of evil in his scrolls. He will think of the evil deeds to be something grave and serious. He will treat the good deeds. There are good deeds which erase the evil deeds. He will treat them seriously and act upon them. He will make great the affair of istighfar. He will seek forgiveness, by which Allah removes the evil deeds. Now all of this, there's another side issue from all of this, which is that when we study these issues of belief, the issues of i'tiqad, the correct belief, when we study these issues of belief, they affect a servant, they cause a servant, or they influence a servant in the sense that this aqidah, this belief, because this is a matter of belief, these issues affect a servant and make him more humble. They make him more humble. They make him more fearful. They make him someone who has greater taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is the benefit of studying the aqidah, studying the belief, the aqidah. And we find that such people who study the aqidah in this way, they are more humble to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because they have knowledge of the things that cannot be seen. They actually believe in these things, that they are true and they are real. And because of their belief in these things, in the things that cannot be seen, in the day of judgment, in paradise, hellfire, the angels, and likewise the writing of the angels, all of this, having knowledge of all of this, of Allah, His attributes, all of this is something that causes a servant to be completely humble in front of Allah. All arrogance is removed, all pride is removed, and shaitan is far away from such a person. So, the point from all of this is that the aqidah, the correct creed, the correct belief, it purifies and rectifies the heart. And when the heart is rectified, it rectifies the actions. And this is why we find that the people of the Sunnah, the people who follow the way of the Salaf, the people who venerate and respect the issues of creed, of aqidah, you see that they are the ones who are really truly rectifying the people and rectifying the society. And it's strange and amazing, you see, that when we learn about the Prophet ﷺ, that despite all of the harms and oppositions and oppression and mockery and all the things that were done to him by the Quraysh, by the leaders of the Quraysh, they called him a liar, magician, soothsayer, fortune teller, mad, possessed. They used to throw entrails of animals onto him while he was prostrating. All these things, sit on the paths, warn the people from him. He never, ever, ever got angry on account of these things, and never, ever took revenge, ever, on account of these things. But whenever the right of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was violated, meaning he would get angry for the sake of the right of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, something to do with the deen, something to do from the affairs of the deen, he would become angry for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Never ever becoming angry for himself, anything to do with himself. When you look today, it's the other way around. It's completely the other way around. You see people, they will become angry because of some issue of wealth, or because of some issue of maybe someone didn't speak to them in the right way. Now they become angry because of that, and they break ties because of that, or because of some wealth, or because of some other issue. And as for when the right of Allah, or there is something to do with the Sunnah, some issue of the religion, they couldn't care less. An idol being worshipped, a saint being worshipped in front of their eyes, couldn't care less. Couldn't care less. The rights of Allah being violated, couldn't care less. The Sunnah being abandoned or disobeyed, couldn't care less. A parent in his house, his children don't pray, he couldn't care less. He's more interested. Becomes angry if there's some affair of the dunya doesn't reach him. That makes him more angry than the fact that his children are not praying. Alright? So it's completely the other way around. So the point being from this is that we speak about these things, we speak about our belief in the angels, in paradise, in hellfire, in the scales that will weigh the deeds, in the scales that will weigh the deeds, the bridge over the hellfire. Why? Because these are true, real things. They are true and real things which affect a person's faith. They affect a person's iman. And there are some people also, there are people who actually deny and reject these things. From the Mu'tazila, for example, the Mu'tazila, they say we don't believe in the scales. It doesn't make sense. We don't believe in the punishment of the grave. It doesn't make sense. How can someone be punished in the grave when his body is rotting and turning to bones? It doesn't make sense. Because they're using the rationale, the reason. The soul is the foundation in the barzakh. And the body is the foundation in the life of this world. In the life of this world, the body is the foundation. The body is the one that experiences the pain first, and then the soul feels it as a consequence. And then, in the barzakh, in the grave, it's the other way around. The soul is the asl, the foundation. The soul is that which is punished, and the body feels it as a consequence. And then on Yawmul Qiyamah, both the soul and the body will be combined, and what they feel and perceive will be complete and perfect. Meaning that they will feel and perceive things, pleasure and pain, in the most perfect and complete of way, which wasn't present in the barzakh, nor was it present in the life of this world. Meaning it will be amplified. Right? So in other words, the Mu'tazila, they say, we can't understand how a person can be punished in the grave. Because they're using their rationale, the reason. And they deny the bridge over the hellfire, they deny all these things they deny and say that these are not real, they're just metaphors and allegories. And likewise with the angels and the jinn and so on and so forth. Now, so when we speak about these issues of belief, we are speaking about issues that are true and real, and they affect a person's faith. And they affect a person's faith in the way that we have mentioned, in that they make a person fearful. They make his iman to increase. They make him have taqwa. This is how a person is affected in this way. Now, as for the people of Kalam, as for Ahlul Kalam, when you look at these people and when they study these issues, they do not study them in the same way as the people of the Sunnah study these issues. To them, when they study these issues, these are just academic issues. They are things that you discuss from a theoretical point of view. You just discuss them, and it's not something that really truly affects you and your faith. They believe in things not because the Quran and the Sunnah has brought information about these things. They believe in them because their reason and rationale has proven these things to them. Right? So for example, why is Allah hearing and seeing and speaking? Why? It's because our reason proved to us that Allah is like this. Resurrection, our evidence of reason, we've got a rational proof that resurrection is going to take place. Not that Allah informed us about it. Right? What counts is the fact that we have proven it by way of rationale and reason. Right? So these people, when they study these issues of belief, of resurrection, paradise, hellfire, Allah's names, Allah's attributes, these are all things which to them are rational things. They are things that we can prove rationally. They're not studying these things from the point of view of, Allah informed us about them and they affect a person's iman in a real and true way. And that is the difference between those who are affected by the approach of kalam, ilmul kalam, and the approach of those who turn to the book and the sunnah and make that the foundation of their knowledge. And the Shaykh mentions here a point that for that reason you'll find that those whose hearts are the softest are the people of the sunnah, and the most humblest they are the people of the sunnah. And those people who have hard hearts and the lack of worship and lack of humility, and they have arrogance with them, are generally the people who are the people of kalam and falsafa and philosophy, these types of people. So after this brings us to the end of the statement of At-Tahawi rahimahullahu ta'ala, and so we'll conclude our lesson there today, and we'll continue in the next lesson insha'Allah ta'ala with the next statement, which is belief in the angel of death. وَنُؤْمِنُ بِمَلَكِ الْمَوْتِ الْمُوَكَّلِ بِقَبْضِ أَرْوَاحِ الْعَالَمِينَ. We believe in the angel of death, which is appointed to grab or to take the souls of the creatures. So with that we conclude our lesson today. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa sallallahu ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een.